The year you stop wasting your life. There comes a moment in many people's lives that is so quiet, so ordinary, and so easy to miss that no one else would ever know it happened. It is not a birthday. It is not New Year's Day. It is not the day the world finally sees your potential. It is not the day you suddenly become disciplined, healed, focused, successful, confident, and free. No, the moment that changes your life rarely looks dramatic at all. Usually it happens when you are alone. It happens in the middle of a messy room, or a long drive, or a late night, or a tired morning. It happens when you look at your own life and realize, with brutal honesty, that you are not becoming the person you once believed you would be. And that realization hurts. It hurts because at one point, you really believed something big was ahead for you. You believe you would be stronger by now, clearer by now, richer by now, healthier by now, more respected by now, more fulfilled by now. You thought the future version of you would have figured things out. You thought the fear would fade, the confusion would clear, the procrastination would end, and the days would stop slipping by unnoticed. But suddenly, one day, you look around and realize that the years have been moving whether you were intentional or not. Time did not pause and wait for you to get ready. Life kept going. And for many people, that realization creates one of two outcomes. The first outcome is despair. A person says, "I'm too far behind. I wasted too much time. Other people are ahead of me. I missed my chance." They turn disappointment into identity. They stop seeing themselves as someone in progress and start seeing themselves as someone disqualified. They call themselves lazy, broken, unlucky, average, or stuck. And little by little, they lower their standards to match the life they have tolerated. But the second outcome is different. The second outcome is awakening. The second outcome is when a person finally gets so tired of their own excuses that they become honest. Not hateful toward themselves, honest. Honest enough to admit that no one is coming to save them. Honest enough to admit that talent means nothing without action. Honest enough to admit that motivation is unreliable, that discipline matters more than mood, and that the life they want will never be built by waiting to feel ready. This is the turning point. This is where power returns. Because the day you stop lying to yourself is often the day your real life begins. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck is because they misunderstand change. They think change arrives as a feeling. They think one morning they will wake up inspired, confident, and completely transformed. They think they need clarity before movement. But clarity usually comes from movement. Confidence usually comes from keeping promises to yourself. Energy often comes after action, not before it. The truth is that most people are waiting for a mental state that only exists on the other side of consistent effort. You do not need a perfect plan to begin. You need a decision. You need a line in the sand. You need a private moment where you say, "I am done living like this." And you must mean it enough to let your habits prove it. Because habits are the real biography of a person. You can say you want peace, but if your habits are chaos, your life will reveal chaos. You can say you want success, but if your habits are distraction, delay, and avoidance, your life will reveal distraction, delay, and avoidance. You can say you want confidence, but if your daily pattern is self-betrayal, comfort-seeking, and quitting when things get uncomfortable, your life will reflect that. Your habits tell the truth long before your words do. That can sound harsh, but it is also freeing. Why? Because if your habits built the life you have now, then new habits can build the life you want next. Not overnight, not magically, but certainly, slowly, quietly, powerfully. Most transformations are invisible in the beginning. That is why weak minds quit too early. The gym does not change your body in one workout. Reading does not change your life in one night. Saving money does not make you wealthy in 1 week. Prayer, healing, discipline, focus, business, confidence, and emotional maturity do not explode into existence after one good decision. They are built through repetition. They are earned in silence. And that is exactly why so few people ever reach their potential. They underestimate the boring part. They want the applause without the repetition. They want the result without the routine. They want a new life while protecting the same destructive patterns that created the old one. But the people who really change understand something most people don't. Your future is built in ordinary days. In the mornings when you do not feel like getting up, but get up anyway. In the moments when no one is watching and you choose what matters over what is easy. In the conversations where you finally tell the truth, in the boundaries you set, in the distractions you cut off, in the promises you keep to yourself, in the decision to stop negotiating with a version of you that wants comfort at all costs. Comfort is expensive. It steals years. It steals health. It steals opportunity. It steals self-respect. It whispers that rest is the same as avoidance, that endless planning is the same as progress, that consuming content is the same as building a life, that thinking about change is the same as making change. But it is not. And deep down, you know that. You know when you're hiding. You know when you are wasting hours because facing the work feels harder than escaping it. You know when you're blaming circumstances so you do not have to face your own inconsistency. You know when you are telling yourself that tomorrow will be different, even though you have not changed anything that would make tomorrow different. These are painful truths, but they are liberating truths too, because once you can name the pattern, you can break the pattern. And breaking the pattern rarely starts with something huge. It starts small enough to repeat. That is where people get this wrong. They think because their goals are big, their first step must be big too. But massive change is often the result of embarrassingly small beginnings. One early morning, one walk, one chapter, 1 hour of deep work, one hard conversation, one meal that aligns with the person you want to become, one day without giving in, one decision to stop checking your phone every 5 minutes, one application sent, one video recorded, one offer made, one prayer spoken honestly, one commitment honored. These things seem small, but they are not small at all. They are identity votes. Every action you take casts a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline, you are voting for a stronger self. Every time you choose courage, you are voting for a freer self. Every time you choose focus, you are voting for a more capable self. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you are voting for the weaker pattern to continue. This is why self-respect matters so much. Self-respect is not ego, it is not arrogance, it is not acting superior. Self-respect is the quiet decision to treat your life as something that matters. It is understanding that your attention matters, your health matters, your word matters, your time matters, your future matters. When you respect yourself, you stop making excuses for the habits that are destroying your peace. You stop casually participating in your own downfall. A lot of people say they want a better life, but what they really want is a better feeling. They want relief. They want reassurance. They want immediate evidence that things are working. But growth does not always feel good at first. Sometimes growth feels humiliating, because it forces you to confront how undisciplined you have been. Sometimes growth feels lonely because your old environment was built around the weaker version of you. Sometimes growth feels slow because results lags behind effort. Sometimes growth feels frustrating because you are no longer numbing yourself with distraction, and now you can fully feel your own thoughts. But this discomfort is not a sign you are failing. Many times, it is proof you are finally changing. The strongest people are not people who never feel fear. They are people who stop obeying fear. They stop letting it make every decision. They stop asking fear for permission. They understand that fear will always have something to say when your life is about to expand. Fear hates action because action creates evidence. Action forces reality to replace imagination. Before you act, your mind can build endless worst-case scenarios. But once you move, you begin learning what is true instead of what is terrifying. This matters because a huge portion of suffering comes from imagined defeat. People live inside conversations that never happened, rejections that have not occurred, disasters that have not arrived, judgments that may not even exist. They rehearse failure so often that they become loyal to it, and then because they have emotionally practiced losing, they never fully show up to win. Imagine what would happen if, for 1 year, you stopped doing that. Imagine if for 1 year, you stopped talking yourself out of effort. Imagine if for 1 year, you stopped romanticizing your potential and started respecting process. Imagine if for 1 year, you became the kind of person who followed through. Not perfectly, but consistently. Imagine if you protected your mornings, guarded your attention, moved your body, fed your mind with truth, cut off what weakens you, and gave real energy to what matters. How different would your life look? How different would you feel? How much pain would disappear simply because you were no longer constantly disappointing yourself? Because that is what many people are really suffering from. Not just failure, self-betrayal. There's a unique exhaustion that comes from knowing what you should do and continually refusing to do it. There's a heaviness that comes from watching yourself waste your own potential in real time. It drains your confidence because every broken promise becomes evidence against you. You start doubting yourself, not because you are incapable, but because your own pattern has taught you that your intentions cannot be trusted. The good news is that this can be rebuilt. Trust in yourself can return, but it does not return through affirmations alone. It returns through proof. It returns when you begin doing what you said you would do, even in small ways, especially in small ways. Make your bed. Take the walk. Finish the task. Keep the promise. Stop when you said you would stop. Start when you said you would start. These simple acts may look unimpressive from the outside, but internally they are rebuilding the architecture of a stronger identity. And identity changes everything. When you see yourself as weak, you live cautiously. When you see yourself as unreliable, you hesitate to dream boldly. When you see yourself as someone who always quits, every goal feels unrealistic. But when you begin to experience yourself as disciplined, focused, and resilient, opportunities that once felt impossible begin to feel reachable. You no longer need constant external motivation because your self-image has begun to shift. You are no longer trying to force success from a broken identity. You are becoming the kind of person who naturally lives differently. This is why your environment matters too. Some people are trying to build a strong life inside a weak atmosphere. They are surrounded by distraction, negativity, passivity, gossip, clutter, noise, temptation, and endless digital stimulation. Then they wonder why focus feels impossible. Environment does not control everything, but it influences a lot. Sometimes changing your life starts with changing what surrounds you. Clean the room. Silence the noise. Leave the conversation. Unfollow the garbage. Turn off the screen. Get out of the place where your lowest habits feel normal. There's power in creating an atmosphere that supports your higher self. And there's also power in grieving honestly, because sometimes what is keeping you stuck is not just laziness. Sometimes it is pain. Sometimes it is disappointment that you never processed. Sometimes it is heartbreak, rejection, humiliation, family wounds, shame, burnout, or fear of trying again after life hit you hard. You cannot always discipline your way around unhealed pain. Sometimes you need to sit with it, name it, bring it into the light, admit that it hurt. Admit that you are angry. Admit that you are tired. Admit that part of you is afraid to hope again because hope feels risky after disappointment. That honesty is not weakness. It is maturity. Healing and discipline are not enemies. They work together. You can be compassionate with yourself without staying soft on the habits ruining your future. You can understand why you became this way without choosing to remain this way. Your past may explain you, but it does not have permission to define your next chapter unless you keep handing it the pen. And that is what this is really about: authorship. At some point, every adult must decide whether they are going to live by default or by design. Default is easy. Default is reaction. Default is scrolling, drifting, spending, avoiding, numbing, comparing, delaying, and hoping life somehow organizes itself. Design is different. Design is intentional. Design is costly. Design requires awareness, sacrifice, repetition, and patience. But design is where dignity lives. Design is where momentum lives. Design is where purpose starts becoming visible. You do not need to control everything. You do need to lead yourself. Lead yourself when your emotions are messy. Lead yourself when your mind is noisy. Lead yourself when you feel behind. Lead yourself when no one applauds. Lead yourself when progress is invisible. Lead yourself when the old version of you tries to return. Leadership is not only something you give to others, it is something you owe your own life. And maybe that is what you need to hear today. Your life is still responsive. It is not over. It is not fixed in its current shape. You are not doomed to repeat every bad pattern forever. You are not sentenced to stay mentally foggy, emotionally weak, financially careless, physically undisciplined, or spiritually empty. But you do have to participate in your own rescue. No one can do your push-ups for you. No one can heal your habits for you. No one can make your choices for you. Advice can guide you. Inspiration can spark you. Pain can wake you. But eventually, you must become the one who acts. The beautiful part is that once you do, life starts talking back. Not all at once, but gradually. Your mind gets clearer. Your energy shifts. Your standards rise. Your body responds. Your bank account reflects better decisions. Your relationships become more honest. Your confidence grows from earned evidence. Opportunities appear because you are finally prepared to meet them. What once felt impossible starts feeling natural because you are no longer fighting yourself every day. And that is the secret many never learn. A better life is often less about becoming someone new and more about returning to the strongest parts of yourself that comfort buried. The disciplined part of you is still there. The brave part of you is still there. The focused part of you is still there. The part of you that wanted more was not foolish. It was telling the truth. You were made for more than mindless repetition, more than private regret, more than constant distraction, more than surviving days you were meant to use. But potential is not a reward. It is a responsibility. So let this be the year you stop wasting your life. Let this be the year you stop confusing desire with commitment. Let this be the year you stop giving your best energy to things that weaken you. Let this be the year you build routines that future you will thank you for. Let this be the year you stop waiting to become confident and instead earn confidence through action. Let this be the year you stop chasing quick relief and start building permanent strength. Will it be hard? Yes. Will you have imperfect days? Absolutely. Will you sometimes feel like nothing is changing? Of course. But if you keep going, if you keep choosing what matters over what is easy, if you keep voting for the person you want to become, then one day you will look around and realize something incredible. The life that once felt impossible is now your normal. The discipline that once felt painful is now your identity. The peace that once felt distant is now your baseline. The strength you admired in others has quietly become your own. And it all began the day you got honest. The day you stopped waiting. The day you stopped romanticizing a future you would never earn. The day you decided that your life, your time, your mind, your body, and your calling were too valuable to keep throwing away. So if you're listening to this at a low point, hear this clearly. You are not finished. You are not too late. You are not disqualified because you took longer than you hoped. You are not trapped just because you have repeated the pattern many times. You are one decision away from beginning again, not from finishing, from beginning. And beginning, truly beginning, is powerful enough. Start with today. Start before you feel ready. Start badly if you must. Start tired. Start uncertain. Start without applause. Start with a small step that proves to your own soul that this time you are serious. Because your future is not built by what you meant to do. It is built by what you repeat. So repeat courage. Repeat discipline. Repeat honesty. Repeat focus. Repeat faith. Repeat the actions that honor the life you say you want. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, people will look at you and call your transformation inspiring. But you will know the truth. It was never magic. It was never luck. It was never one perfect moment. It was the quiet decision, made again and again, to stop wasting your life.